Oh, okay. Okay, I got 12:30. Yes, ma'am. You have a quorum and we are recording.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, counselors, for just a little bit of your time today. Um, for this special meeting of Bessemer City Council, an agenda has been prepared this day, Tuesday, January the 14th, 2021. This meeting has been called to order. We'll have a silent word of prayer as we go to the throne and we pray. We pray that everything that we say and do will be done decently and in order, and that we will respect each other. Whether or not we agree with what we say, we'll respect what has been said. May we have a silent word of prayer, please. Amen. Item number 3, Ms. Taylor.
Council roll call. Councilor,
I'm sorry.
did you say something, Councilor Don?
I just didn't want to tell you I didn't have my glasses on. I'm sorry. Count item number 2, please.
Here. Hey, I'm here.
Councilor Alexander.
Present.
Councilor Collier. Councilor Collier. Councilor Crusoe.
Present.
Councilor Marshall.
Present.
Councilor Thickpen.
Present.
Councilor Matthews.
Present.
Councilor Donald.
Present.
You have 6 present, 1 absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Item number 3, please.
Discussion on resolution authorizing a one-time longevity payment to all employees of the city of Bessemer.
Councilors, as you know, in our last meeting, we did not agree on, in planning session, we did not agree on the $350, nor did we agree on the $500. And we did not agree on the longevity that's in the statement for the employees for the city of Bessemer to receive for COVID-19 coronavirus pay. We called this meeting so that we can discuss the percentages and how we got to the percentages, and possibly give our employees a tad bit more money for COVID-19 coronavirus. Are there any questions and or concerns at this point in time?
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Councilor Alexander.
I just want to know, did the attorneys get together about the wording? Because I know they were supposed to get together about the wording and longevity. See if we could use another wording.
Councilor Harris, Attorney Harris, Attorney Payton, are you on the line?
This is Shan. I'm on the line. I don't recall being told to do that or asked to do that. So I haven't talked to Greg about it, but I know the word longevity works. What other word would you want to use?
Attorney Harris. He was on the line, Attorney Harris.
Now, you hear me now?
I can hear you now, Attorney Harris.
Yes. I didn't get with the city attorney. I didn't know that we were supposed to, but I know that longevity is one of the words that can be used. And I guess we're here. Is it really the wording, or is it the period, the longevity periods that's concerns? I believe.
No, it was just the wording for me, because it's going to be a one-time payment, and longevity means like for the life. My thing is, what if we get being that COVID is getting really bad again, we get some more money? I mean, will we have to go back in and redo the resolution to give our employees more money if we get more CARES Act money for funding?
So if you get more COVID funding from a CARES Act grant, you could do another resolution granting them funds at that point. This is just right now on this one sum of money you're granting to them. Doesn't mean you can't do it again.
Okay, thank you. That's all I was worried about.
Madam Chair.
Well,
Madam
go
Chair.
ahead.
Yes, Councilor Crusoe.
Yes, sir. Excuse me. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Attorney Payton, as far as with the longevity, I recall asking, when we were deciding to I guess come back with a plan, a call meeting to further to discuss that. I asked that the attorneys meet as regarding the term of longevity, and to further, I guess to keep us from coming back to this issue, if and we pray to God that we don't have to come back to this place, that that we are able to get the coronavirus in a place where we can get back to some sense of normalcy and not have to receive such money. But as far as with the longevity, if that's the only term that can be used, and in the event that we do get some more money to keep us from being bound in any form of fashion to that word longevity, can the wording of that resolution pertain that the longevity was only to the extent of the funds that's being awarded to us currently? Can it be worded as such? Just like I said, so it won't be an issue if we were to return back to the table with more funds.
All right, so let's go back to the first thing again. I don't recall Greg and I being requested to do it, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, if there's another term you want to use, I'm just trying to make it fall within the personnel board guidelines. And one of the items of pay that you can do under the personnel board guidelines is a longevity pay. And there are 6 requirements in there that you have to meet for that. And I read those to you the last time. It doesn't say that you can only do it one time. Okay. So I don't see any barrier to doing that again and calling it longevity pay. But if there's some other phrase you want to use, let me know, and I'll be happy to look at it to determine whether it will fit in or not.
Madam Chair. Madam Chairman, I think we have a misunderstanding about what longevity means in this sense. It isn't for the length of term forever. This is the people that have been with the city the longest get more. So the longevity pay is basically for multiple years they get more. So the longevity is the lifetime of them working here. It's the number of years that they work here that they get more.
Madam Chair. That's why I wanted the longevity word taken out, because my suggestion was for today would be to categorize it by departments as far as the funding for the CARES Act. That's why I was saying, will it be another wording that we could use? Because I have an issue with the years.
All right. So just if I can, Councilor Donald, the Jefferson County used this language, okay, the longevity language. That's where I pulled this resolution from, okay? So I piggybacked off of their resolution and used the longevity language. And then I talked with Ms. Pryor about the personnel board guidelines, whether we would have to get approval from the personnel board. And she sent me the regulations on the longevity pay. So I knew that we would not have to go to the personnel board if we fit it within this slot. So in combination with using the Jefferson County resolution and the personnel board, I thought and believe, and it's my opinion, that this works to make a one-time payment right now. If you want to go back and do another one, if you get more funding, I believe you can do that. I would be of the same opinion. You could do that. You certainly couldn't make it a monthly deal, but you could make another longevity payment. And the longevity, you can break it down however you want. This one simply breaks it down. The mayor wanted to break it down less than 10 years and more than 10 years, because that would be an easy break and for the finance department to help them get the money out. If that answers the question.
Well, we've
question.
hired supplemental staff to help in the finance department. So being the easy break, I mean, we got the staff now, right, that we're paying through the CARES Act to help out in the finance department. And I think it should be sufficient if it was years 0 to 5, 5 to 10, and 10 to 15 instead of 0 to 10. I mean, yeah, 0 to 10 and 10 and above.
Counselor Matthews.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. Now, I know we jumped right into this conversation that was on the agenda, but prior to this being on the agenda, we received a letter dated January the 5th, 2021, and that portion of funding for, and that letter was sent per the police department. Okay. And that's a part of that's being omitted out of this entire conversation, in my opinion, because of the losing police officers that like what's going on at this present state. And notwithstanding everything that has been said, and I asked the question about characterizing first responders in whatever tiers you want to put them in, which could be done, but we're missing the piece of the request coming from the police department, and I would guess you would characterize them as first responders, and we haven't even embarked on that at all. And I'm trying to, and I guess I'm asking the question, why not? And I do understand, and it was explained to me in a meeting prior to this about why finance personnel is not included in our meetings to give us figures. It was basically said that Attorney Payton was handling it as a team effort of some type. But I'm still mystified about the Department of Justice grant and all those questions that was alluded to in the letter that we received. I don't have a problem with giving longevity, but I mean, I don't have a problem. Oh, sorry about that. I'm on my lunch break and my radio just went off. Sorry about that. But I think we're band-aiding something that pretty soon is going to be a hemorrhage, and hemorrhage being public safety. So I would think we have more to discuss than just longevity. To me, now, that's just Jesse's Matthews' opinion. We can discuss this CARES Act. I mean, longevity all day, but we're still not addressing main issues that's going to plague this city when it comes down to public safety, and losing officers that's going to other jurisdictions that pays far more than, pay $5,000 or $10,000. You go to Mountain Brook, Vestavia, you're going to be $70,000 payroll just starting, So it's a lot more than just what we are talking about. So don't ever forget that.
Madam Chair, Madam President. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I yield to you, Mayor.
Madam President, good afternoon to you and everyone that's on the line. We have obviously not and so forgot any and so of our employees, But there's two things that I want and stuff to mention that Councilor Matthews and stuff just and stuff mentioned, and that you'll see that forthcoming probably within the next week or two. And one of the there will always be other municipalities and stuff that pays more and stuff than one municipality or the other. One of the reasons and stuff why we have been losing and so officers, and particularly younger officers and employees since 2013, is because there were under the RSA, there was a second tier and so that was established. You all will be getting yourself a resolution within the next and so week or so that will be asking you and so to consider bringing all of our employees back under tier and so one. Right now, tier first responders and all of our employees under tier two is at a grave disadvantage because in that disadvantage, it does not matter how many years of service you have, you couldn't retire and draw your unemployment until you reach the age of 58 years old. Well, that has put us at a disadvantage when it has come to other municipalities, i.e. Birmingham, where you have 20 years of service and you can move on and retire and so somewhere else and build another and so retirement. So a lot of that and stuff is the main reason why we have not been able and stuff to and stuff retain or maintain younger officers because obviously the benefits under tier two is not and stuff as good as the benefits under and so tier one that most and so of our employees have been accustomed to prior to 2013. Okay, now under what we're currently talking and stuff about, which is longevity. If you recall, the resolution that you all passed that required all of employees, police, fire, public improvements, and Bessemer utilities as essential workers. What we were trying and stuff to do at that particular time, since those people by resolution of this council and stuff was classified as essential and stuff workers during this pandemic, we were trying and stuff to, as I stated in the last meeting, and stuff compensate all of those employees that you deem essential to the operation and stuff of this city. But we also looked at that we've had some exposure to everybody relevant and stuff to the operations of the city. So, you know, we've looked at other and some areas, and we've looked at even we could take, for example, our school board, Birmingham's school board, UAB, all of them consistently gave, and so a lot of their employees across the board $500 bonus. All we were trying and stuff to do, that we presented and stuff to you all, is a way to compensate all of our employees for what and stuff they had done during this most challenging time. So that's where we are relevant and stuff too. But when it comes to retaining employees, we got to do and stuff our homework and presenting to you all, which is forthcoming, a resolution that carries all of our employees back and stuff to a tier one scenario, which is going to cost us. I had Ms. Pryor and stuff on the line to discuss that and stuff a little bit more, but basically what that's going to cost the city going forward is approximately $200,000 a year, and that's yearly.
Well, oh, sorry about that. I was about to ask a follow-up question, but I'll wait till.
Madam Chair.
Okay, Councilor Marshall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really wish we get to the business at hand. Now, receiving a letter from supposedly police department, unsigned, could have been written by anybody and sent. So I just don't put much credibility in unsigned letters. Okay, we you know, Council Alexander, she made her views known in terms of the tiers. I'd like to hear more from her in terms of what she has in mind, and let's discuss what's on the agenda. We're moving in a different direction, and that ain't what we're here for. So, Madam Chair, I would ask that you allow Councilor Alexander to share with us, you know, her thoughts in terms of the tiers, so that we might go on and move this along and get this money in the hands of our employees. Thank you.
You're welcome,
Madam
Councilor.
Chair, Madam Chair.
Councilor Matthews.
Yeah, and I concur with Council Marshall moving on with the tiers, because I did speak about the tiers, the tier categories on our last meeting, and I wholeheartedly agree with Council Alexander concerning tiers. But notwithstanding that, I did want to I did eject that, and it's been ejected now. And I do understand, and I want to ask the mayor just one follow-up question, if you will. Mayor, does that include, I guess, pay? Does that include just pay plus insurance, or what? Since it was mentioned, is that that's just pay only?
Council Matthews, are you speaking in terms of going back from tier 2 to tier 1? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, what you mentioned that's forthcoming. I was asking, is that just pay only? That's not insurance included in that, correct?
No, that would be under retirement. That would not be under i.e. pay, and so it's about the benefits and stuff that one gets and stuff under tier 1 versus tier 2. So it would be more of a benefits and stuff under RSA than in sort of an actual dollar amount.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we can get back to the tier, but I like to say that I wouldn't sign nothing either if I'm gonna be possibly retaliated on by anybody, you know. So, but anyway, back to the tiers. I think the tier is very important. So I like to hear Councilor Alexander's propose on the tier in depth.
Thank you, Councilor Marshall, but we must give everyone an opportunity to speak. I try to give everyone an opportunity to speak so we can all get the pieces of the puzzle and come to a common solution. But to get down to why I'm here and why I call this special meeting, I see that 350, by the time we cut taxes out of that 350, our employees will not have anything to work with. That $500, by the time you cut taxes, and we're talking about since March of 2020 until the present, that $500, by the time taxes are cut, they won't have anything to work with. Now, my suggestion, and this is just Councilor Donald's suggestion, we have the funds to give a flat rate. I don't care how long you've been here, because if you're a garbage worker and you've been here from 0 to 2 years, you're on the front line, because those people don't put needles, napkins, tissue, anything in a red bag. It's thrown into the trash. So when you go to grab that garbage bag, you are a first responder. I would suggest that we give a flat rate, and this is just my suggestion, of $1,000, and we still have funding left to work with. And some of those people who have had COVID 3 times, I know personally one have had COVID that's working for the city of Bessemer 4 times. We've had several with COVID 3 times that have exhausted all of their vacation time and or any other time that they've had. They've exhausted it all. So my suggestion to this body is that we give a flat rate, or if we don't want to give a flat rate, from 0 to 9, we'll give 1,000, and from 9 on up, we'll give 1,200. We do have the funding to do that. We do. We can do that. From looking at the paperwork that I pulled off from Witt and Bryant, Jefferson County Corona Relief Fund eligibility review memo, from looking at this, we do have the funding to give from 0 to 9, $8,000, and from 9 on up, 1,200. That way, these employees can at least pay a bill or maybe 2 bills. Some of us are really hurting out there, and I say us because I put myself in their shoes. Of course, I am blessed, but some of us are really hurting out there. And I would ask this body, instead of getting into a long, drawn-out conversation about what can, what cannot, I would ask this body, 0 to 9, 1,000, and 9 and above, 1,200, because they all are first responders, all of them. If you touch sputum, you're still a first responder. I've even called the mayor myself about the mask for the street and sanitation garbage workers. And he gave me the answer, not the one I was looking for, but he gave me an answer that made sense. Because when you're running back and forward behind that truck, picking up trash, sometimes it's hard to breathe with that mask on, and they just take it off for a breather and then put it back on. I just happened to catch it when it was off. But he did tell me why. So they all are first responders to me. Now, that is just my suggestion. If there's another counselor with another suggestion, please, Counselor Alexander, Counselor Marshall would say that he would like to hear your rationale. That is just my rationale.
Thank you, Councilor Donald. I was just saying, and I do agree with the mayor, and I will vote on that for us to change back to Tier 1-5 employees and the benefits. But that's a whole different discussion that we're talking about. But I'm talking about as far as the tiers, as far as the first responders, our police and firefighters. And then we have the street and sanitation department. And then we have the office employees, Bessemer Utilities. I just was saying, can we break it down to amount like that in those type of tiers? Not even using the years. That's why I had a problem with the word longevity, and that was saying about the years.
Right. Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir, Counselor Marshall.
Counselor Alexander, do you have any dollar amounts associated with those different ones?
Actually, I don't have a dollar amount. That was just a suggestion that I was bringing back to the council body, and that we could come up as a whole, as a body, with a dollar amount, depending on what's in the fund for us to distribute to the employees. That's all I was saying as far as that type of tier program.
Okay, and you mentioned something that I think is important. Mayor, give us an idea. My understanding is that we would be paying this money out of those CARES fund, the $1.2 million. Am I correct, or?
That is correct, Council Marshall.
All right, so we have really been in a process of being reimbursed for some expenses that we have incurred, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so based upon the expenses that we've incurred, we really have approximately how much to work with? Still the 1.2 million?
Council Marshall, obviously, I know it was presented and stuff to you all in a pack of a lot and some of the things that we had purchased out of that CARES Act funding, and it was a reimbursement. And so the CARES Act was a reimbursement of expenditures and stuff that we had that obviously we had already and so spent, and we were getting and so reimbursed and so forth.
Okay, well, this is my opinion. I want to see the employees get something to show appreciation. But at the same time, this really is not monopoly money to be played with. We got to be very frugal. We know in this pandemic, revenue is down coming into the city, and we got to be looking out for the future. You know, as long as this pandemic is there, there's a lot of cities are suffering, a lot of families are suffering. I understand that. But we have been blessed not to have to lay off any employees. But if we don't manage this money correctly, we'll end up in such a crunch that somewhere down the road, because we've extended too much at one point, that there may be some people have to be laid off. And I really think that most employees would rather have their job and have a consistent paycheck than to get, you know, a lump sum that puts the city in a bind, and they may end up having to be furloughed down the road. So I think it's more than just looking at now. I think we got to look down the road, try to make sure we take care of our employees now, and try to make sure that we're in a position that we don't have to lay off any of our employees because we've extended too much money in this longevity pay. I agree that they should get something. I have no problem with that, but I think we got to be frugal and we got to be very careful how we do this. Thank you.
Madam Chair. Madam President.
Is that Councilor Thigpen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I can hardly hear you. Okay, Councilor Thigpen.
Hey, I don't have a problem speaking up, so I've been told more than once to use my inside voice. So I'm looking at the report that we received on the summary that was dated 11/9. It looks like the total that's been expended at this point is $934,745 roughly. And if we got 1.2 million, that leaves only 265,000 to spend out of that. And I'm sure we've spent more since November. So, I mean, your proposal was 1,000. If we just gave everybody 1,000, that'd be between 625,000 and 650,000. So that far exceeds what we would have in there. We would have to dip into the general fund. We don't know if we're getting any more money, but at this point, this is what we have to work with. I think with what we have, give our employees something. You know, 265,000 doesn't go very far. And I think that's what the mayor had said before, was the amount that he was proposing kind of fit those guidelines. You know, I'd love to give them all $1 million apiece, because they've all, especially the first responders, because they've put themselves out there. As we say, they're running into the fire and the gunfire while we're running away. So, you know, I appreciate every one of them, but I appreciate every employee that we have. I love that we've been able to keep everyone there. We've paid COVID pay for employees that have been off. You know, I don't think anyone of our employees has missed a paycheck. I mean, it may be that their spouse is not working and it's hard times, but we've tried to work with our employees to keep everyone on the job and their paycheck steady. I don't, I would love to give them more, but where are we going to get it? I guess that's a question for the mayor. If we try to give more money, where is it going to come from? If my numbers are wrong, please tell me.
Well, that brings up another question for me. Just one moment, please. That brings up another question for me. I'm looking here where it says municipal court. We paid them $136,000 to come and have court at the Civic Center, when we could look at cutting some things. Counselors, let me just say that. We can look at what this says since what is this, October, and I have here, I have a summary since November.
Mm-hmm.
So we can look at where we can cut some things and where we could work in and work out of some things. Now, especially with, as the mayor stated, we have a police officer that's doing the sanitizing, and the cleaning, Officer Wood is doing the cleaning and sanitizing at $60,624.92. Well, we can look at, since we have our own equipment, and this is just Cynthia, since we have our own equipment and we're paying that kind of money, we can look at that, cutting that a bit. But that is, everyone has their own opinion. That's why we're here, to put it out on the table and see what can we do and how much can we give the employees without putting the city of Bessemer in a bind and or in a crunch. That I would never want to do. And I thank God that we have not had to lay off any employees and or fire any employees because of COVID. I thank God for that. But I just think, me personally, because I've worked in the field for first responder for 22 years. And I just think $500, sure, that's something to tell them that we appreciate them. But I just think a tad bit more, and I see where we can cut and give them more, and it would not put the city in a crunch. But that is up to this body.
Madam Chair.
Finish that. If we've already spent the $935,000, how are we going to cut that when we're only allocated $1.2 million? How do you've already spent?
You say we've already spent.
Is that not the $934,000, the summary of what has been spent?
It's just a summary submitted.
It was all items that they purchased and salaries and time off for people that had COVID. I mean, this is not proposed budget, is it? This is what has already been spent. Am I correct?
Is that correct, Mayor Gully?
It is as I stated earlier, it's a reimbursement exactly for what we've already, and so as this, what we've already purchased during COVID. And Madam President, the 60,000 that you probably is looking at was prior, and so to we start to do in-house cleaning. We were hiring companies to do that at that particular time. That was one of the reasons that we went, and so with the police department and in-house sanitizing, because of the cost that we were spending and stuff for sanitation. But it is a reimbursement.
So this is just up until, one moment, Councilor Matthews. This is just up until November the 9th. That is correct. Because my dates on here, it says November, up until November the 9th. Counselor.
Madam President, if you
Here.
recall, if you, I'm sorry, Madam
Go ahead,
President,
Mayor. Go ahead.
Madam President, if you recall, the November the 9th, probably would have been a Jefferson County mandated submission and stuff date. So all of those things could have been submitted and stuff and done before the December 31st deadline.
Okay. Okay. Counselor Matthews.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. I was seeing as I was muted. I agree that we need to handle this money very careful and be frugal with it as well, and be accountable. And agree that police, sanitation, city hall, street and sand, civic center, municipal court, and don't forget our utility. All our employees are valuable to us, and we need to see really how much money do we have, really, because I heard a lot of numbers just a little while ago. Because to Council Thigpen, we're not gonna get any more money because what has happened just this week has really killed that. $72 million was transferred in the state's unemployment insurance trust fund, right? That was transferred, and another $13 million for programs for universities, and all this was done by the state's governor's administration, and it's gone. That's 72 million plus 30. That's $85 million that local government and cities were. And we was on the phone last night, and we, as in Greg Cochran with the league, this morning, and it's a done deal. It's already been transferred, so we can forget some more money. That's why I 120% agree with Council Marshall. We're going to have to be very careful with this money because we're not going to be able to spend it but one time. And whatever method or way we come up to share this with our employees is fine. I mean, when it comes to this money here, but we still have some other fish to fry. But and I don't know if you all have seen that article, where the article one came out this morning at 7 a.m. about that $85 million, and it's hurtful to cities. And next week is going to be a meeting to try to get Congress to pass money for another drawdown of money, but this money comes directly to the municipalities. So I did want to, just say that, but we need to we need to see how much money we have, because like Councilor Thigpen just said, she see an amount. Councilor Dawn was saying she suggested an amount, and Councilor Alexander say, let's do the tiers. But first, we got to see how much money do we have to do whatever plan that we come up with. Okay.
Madam Chair.
Here.
Madam Chair, oh, I'm sorry. I yield to you, Councilman Martin.
Okay, thank you. Madam
Yes,
Chair.
Yes, sir.
I want to make, I'm sorry.
This is Councilor Crusoe. I've been trying to get in for the last 20 minutes. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not on mute. But go ahead.
Okay, I just want to make
I
this.
did not hear you, Councilor Crusoe. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilor Marshall.
I just want to make this final point. If I were an employee, would I like to have $1,000? Sure, I would. But as an employee, would I rather get $1,000 today, and then 3 months down the road, the word comes around that I'm being laid off because the council did not handle the money? I mean, we've been elected to handle the money and to handle it to the benefit of the city. And so, again, my point is, frugal with the money, give the money, whatever we're going to give to the employees, but still be looking into the future to make sure that 6 months down the road, these employees have spent the $1,000, spent whatever they've spent, and then they don't have a job. because we didn't treat the money like it was really, really important to take care of the employees. That's my final point. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Marsh.
Oh, I'm sorry,
One
I'll yield to
moment,
Councilor
Councilor
Crusoe.
Alexander.
Go ahead.
Councilor Crusoe.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I've been sitting here listening as far as in that we should be frugal as it relates to this money. I completely, wholeheartedly, with everything that's within me, agree. But what behooves me is that we'll get down to the last $200,000, $300,000 of this money and decide that we want to be frugal when it's time to show some type of appreciation to the citizens here in the city of Bessemer. Now, I also heard you make the statement, Mayor Gully, that there was another cleaning service in place before we, I guess, employed Officer Woods to go and sanitize. Would you by any chance, excuse me, any chance have the name of that company?
Madam President, Council Crusoe, there have been several companies. I would know the name off the top of my head. There have been several companies in several departments that has had people to come in and sanitize when there have been someone that tests positive in a certain department. And I'd like to answer instead of your first question, that no one is getting down to the last 200,000 and becoming himself frugal. And so what we did is purchase whatever we needed to purchase. And so from the beginning of the pandemic until up to date, December the 22nd, that we needed, and so to make sure that our employees had whatever they needed. What December the 22nd was a reimbursement of what you had already and so spent. So no one and so was quote unquote being frugal. And so when it came down to dispersing some other money, all of this is a reimbursement and so for what has already been dispersed.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Gully. Back to which more so validates the point that I just made. Looking at these receipts from this packet that we've received, I mean, I don't see anything frugal about some of these purchases. And some of the things which were purchased or in the amount that they were have been purchased is really preposterous. And I don't see anything about being accountable and responsible with $1.2 million, like I said, to finally get down to the last of it and trying to determine as to what it is that we'll give the city employees, in which I would have wanted to think that more so than anything, they should have been more so at the upper part of the totem pole than for us to. These other purchases weren't brought back to us for us to sit and bump heads and twiddle our thumbs on trying to figure out what concerning the other $800 and something thousand.
Madam President, I don't even know where Council Crusoe is going and so with this. But every
ask me what you're not clear on. I mean, I'm here.
No, ma'am, because see, I already see, and so what this is about.
Well, I mean, let's make sure we have a meeting of the mind, Mayor Gully. I mean, I'm looking at the packet that was
what I'm saying, that every expenditure and so was either a budgeted item and so from this council and so that I work within the parameters of. And so, but I'm not ready to sit here and so and get into a back and forward with anyone. I presented and so a resolution and so to you all. And that's what that's my responsibility and stuff as mayor. What and so if you choose and stuff to do, and so after that, and so is up to that, is up to the council body. Now, after that, and so I will, as I've always done, will manage and stuff the operations of this city as best as I can. Now, whether that means and stuff 6 months down and stuff the road, and stuff I have to lay off or furlough people, I'll do that. I'll do whatever and stuff I need to do to operate and stuff this city. I took a sworn oath and stuff to do that, and that's what I'll do. But I'm not sitting here and going back and forward with anybody over in stuff an amount and stuff to give employees. I appreciate every employee. Whatever dollar amount you choose and stuff to do, you're not going to get yourself a rise from me or an argument from me over doing that. I'll just have to manage and stuff the operation of this city as I've always and stuff done. Thank you.
Yes, sir,
Madam
Madam Chair.
Chair.
Can I continue? I mean, I
Oh, go
was.
ahead. I'm sorry.
May I continue, Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am. Let us go quickly, please. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I'm not seeking a rise. I'm just speaking towards the inevitable with the numbers that's been presented before us. I know the last we spoke with what was presented and approved as to the way that it was presented to Jefferson County, it stated $800 and something. I mean, excuse me, 800 and something. Well, right here, $674,987.31 that was set aside for public safety payroll. I mean, this is what I have here in black and white. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Councilor. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just have just a couple of things to address. One being that we was paying an officer of the city of Bessemer $60,000. I think I heard you say that to clean the facilities. And
I think. Hold on. One moment, Councilor Alexander. I did say that, but Mayor Gully came back and stated that was prior. That number was we were paying cleaning services,
not the officer.
Not the officer. Is that correct, Mayor Gully?
Madam President.
Yes, sir.
That we did not pay an officer any extra additional money. And so we bought in stuff the necessary equipment that we needed. But everything and stuff that the officer has done was in line with his regular pay.
Did that answer your question, Councilor?
Yeah, that answers one of my questions. And to piggyback off what Councilor Crusoe said, as I was looking through the paperwork, I seen a lot of quotes in there. One being looked like a forklift for the Civic Center, and it said this is only a quote. It's like $32,000. And then I seen a lot of spreadsheets as well. A lot of the receipts look to me like I could have made the invoices. I would rather for you to, and then I would rather for the finance department to present the credit card statement showing this is what we paid, or either the check like they did, and then they went back with the black ink pen and showed what came out of what. But with some of these invoices, I don't even have the check or the credit card statement. Some of the Walmart receipts that's on there for Gatorades or whatever, and some of them I couldn't even see. And then I get down to the last 2 pages of the Civic Center budgeted items, and it's just black. I can't see anything. So what I'm saying is, can we get some real documentation, some credit card receipts, and not some spreadsheets?
Well, Councilor Alexander, I think when you asked me about the Gatorade and the water, I think I explained to you that was when we were doing food from March until December, and we're getting ready to start up doing food again here in the city of Bessemer.
Well, I even seen some for sweetener. I think that was from municipal court or Bessemer Utilities for like sugar, creamer, things of that nature as well.
Madam Chair.
Councilor
Madam Chair.
Marshall.
We have simply strayed away from the intent of this meeting. We want to get money out to the employees, and now people will start talking about receipts and all of that. I mean, come on. I mean, we got to be more responsible than that. And then the word to get on the street, well, they don't want to give the employees any money. We do want to give the employees money, but we got to be reasonable about it. And that's all I'm saying. We got to be reasonable about it. Otherwise, down the road, we're going to have employees laid off because we're not reasonable about what we're doing. And we need to stay focused on this, deciding, trying to come to an agreement in terms of how much money we give the employees. Otherwise, we're going to be back at the same place, wanting to call another call meeting to discuss this, when we can try to come to some meeting of the mind, but everything is straying in all kind of directions as if it's intended to divert stuff. It's just unreasonable. It's shameful, really.
Actually, I would say it was shameful for you, but that's quite okay. It's shameful for you, but actually, Mayor, I'm sorry, not Mayor. Actually, Councilor Marshall. One moment. Actually, Councilor Marshall, it's not flaring all over everywhere, because what I see have been done, we brought that second question in 2, and we said we were going to discuss 7 and 13. Well, instead of just going with 13, we've going with 13. We have brought 13 into 7. Now, I do agree. Let us, this body, do we want to? I'll ask this question: do we want to let Mayor Gully first tell us how much we have that we're working with, and then come back with another number? Is that what I'm hearing from this body?
Well, Madam Chair.
President, Madam President.
Mayor Gully, okay.
I yield to Councilor Matthews.
All I was about to say is on the lines of how much is in the pot. Let's go with it. We were on a good roll when we talking about the tiers and characterizing them, and I think that's where we stop agreeing right there. And if we could hone in there, I think we could, pretty much get this ship back sailing, and just how much, and then go with the tiers, and I think we can get somewhere. But but Mayor, go ahead with a comment.
We can get somewhere. President. Yes, sir.
I have to agree and so with Councilor Matthews. This was a reimbursement. I can't give you an amount that's in a pot for a reimbursement of dollars that's already spent. And so, because obviously once money goes into the general fund, and so it's in the general fund. So that's why I need from you all an amount that you the 1.2 million, as I stated several times before during this meeting, it's a reimbursement of what's already been spent. Now you all have to say what dollar amount do you want to give employees, and we'll just have to make that amount available from the money that was already that's been reimbursed for what is already been submitted into the general fund of the city of Bessemer. But I mean, there's no pot of money or no specific dollar amount, because it was a reimbursement of what has already been spent.
So my next question is this. We were already going to pay payroll. Is that correct? We were already going to pay the employees payroll, their checks, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
correct.
okay. Now, that is what I'm talking about, Mayor Gully. That's the part I'm talking about. I know that we were going to already pay them their check, their payroll. Cat, is it possible for you to give us an amount that payroll was, and we'll know what we're working with? That is all I was stating, because we were going to pay them anyway. So that money that came through the CARES Act, we were going to pay that anyway. Just give us what's the total for the payroll would have been, or would be, or would have been, and we can work with that number right there, Mayor Gully, and do a portion of that number. That is all I was saying.
What? Oh boy, I tell you, I'm sweating now. Madam Chair.
Well, you shouldn't be sweating, Councilman.
Yeah.
Because
now,
we were going to pay. We were going. Listen, listen.
Yeah.
We were going to pay payroll
Madam Chair, I'm
anyway.
sweating. Yeah, I'm sweating because I'm sitting in this truck listening. But what I would, how much, since it's, and we all know it's not a pot of money just sitting over there to draw from 3 million, 4 million, 5 million. Well, we need to see how much our general fund can stand to be hit in order to give a decent amount of money and to our employees out of the general fund, because the money is in the general fund now. And that's been stated. So we need to see what type of hit can the general fund stand in order to make a conscious and wise decision on the set amount. That's it at this point.
Mayor
Whether
Gully,
it be
whether it be tiers
or
give us that amount, whether it be tiered or whatever it is. Mayor Gully, can you give us an amount to go from or to work on? Because I'm still saying, if we were going to pay the employees their checks at any rate, that we were reimbursed is back in the general fund. Can you give us an amount we're working with? That's all I'm
asking. Madam President, I have to get with the finance director and see. But all of us know that we're in the midst and stuff of a pandemic and stuff here. So yes, I concur with you that we were going and stuff to pay in salaries anyway. But I will submit to you and stuff as well, Madam Chairman, and stuff, that sales tax and stuff has been down. There's a lodging tax that's been substantially down. All of those things that we have used and utilized in order and stuff to operate in stuff this city in the midst of a pandemic has been substantially less than what and stuff it's been in past and stuff years. So what I'm trying and stuff to get is a dollar amount and stuff from this council body, so I can then go back and stuff and see if it's a doable and stuff amount and stuff from in general fund and stuff dollars. Because yes, we were and stuff obviously going to pay all of our employees, but we also recognize that we had to suspend the purchase of major and stuff equipment. We've had and stuff to suspend and stuff the purchase and stuff of a lot of things that were needed and stuff that were in last year's budget to be purchased, because we already know that as a result of a pandemic, that all and stuff of the funding that the city usually and stuff gets was going and stuff to be substantially lower and stuff because and stuff of sales tax, lodging tax, so forth and so on.
Madam Chair, can I have one last statement before I have to go?
Yes,
Before
sir.
I have to go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. One
Okay.
last thing before I have to
Okay.
remove my
Yeah.
temperature. Go ahead.
Okay. Mayor, you proposed what 350, roughly 350, right? And I think you said we got in about, was it 750 or 800? Hello? What we're working with.
Roughly.
Hello?
Uh, uh, Council Matthews,
Uh-huh.
we got in 1.2 million. What that
Okay.
and stuff encompasses and stuff is the entire allotment and stuff that
Right.
that the county and stuff gave us of the state of Bessemer. So that's basically and so what and so we that we've gotten and stuff in. I said this at a previous and stuff meeting, if you all recall. And so we submitted and stuff receipts, paperwork of all of the things that we were to submit and stuff to and stuff the county. The county and stuff kicked that back and rejected that. And what the county asked us and stuff to do to simplify on the county end is just to send us and stuff the salaries and stuff of all public safety instead of all of that paperwork and receipts that I gave and stuff you, because ultimately we were still going and stuff to get the same $1.2 million regardless and stuff of how it was broken down. So once we submitted all and stuff of those and stuff, all of that paperwork with receipts and all those things that we presented to you all, then the county and stuff rejected that and sent it back to us and told us to just send ends of the police and fire salaries and the what was the life packs and stuff that was going and stuff to go in all of the buildings to make up and stuff that amount and stuff instead of dealing and stuff with hand sanitizer, PPE and stuff like that. What they did and stuff was rejected all of those things and stuff from us and told us to send the simplest way to do it to get the 1.2 million and stuff dollars was sending stuff the invoice for the life packs and public safety entire salary. So that's the way and stuff that it was done to warrant and stuff the 1.2 million and stuff dollars.
Okay, and I got you on that. Okay, so if we got 1.2 and if we down to 850,000, you and your proposal total of what 350,000, right?
Approximately 300 to 350,000. That's correct.
Right. Yeah, and you asked this council. Well, council, we're at a point now. Are we gonna say $400,000 or 425? And I think that's what if the city received 800, and I know we want to be fruit. I'm just asking this body and Council Marshall, when you made mention of being responsible for, I think we need to be accountable for all monies. But at this particular time, if we're dealing with the mayor made a proposal of 350, if we gonna say 400, 425, 455, I don't know. That's where we are at this junction now. And I think if we can give him a number to look at and see if if the general fund can stomach or can handle that number, then I think we can get this off a dead center. That's just what I think.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I agree with what Councilor Matthew is saying there. I mean, we just need to get off dead center. I mean, we don't need to politicize this. We need to just try to give our employees something in the way of appreciation. These outrageous amounts of money, with everything that's going on and the downturn, we keep saying it, but it's true. We don't know what's going to happen in the next several months. So I'd rather give the employee a modest amount and be prayerful that that employee can still have his job or her job 6 months from now, rather than giving them an exorbitant amount of money and then 6 months from now they're laid off. That's all I want. I want to make sure that the employees can maintain their employment and still get something to show that the city has some appreciation for all that they face on a daily basis. I'm finished with it.
Madam
Are
President,
there any suggestions? Are there any suggestions? We're going to suggestions. We've had discussions. Are there any suggestions? 400, 450,000, what are we looking at?
yes, ma'am, I have a suggestion. Madam President, this is Donna.
Hey, Donna,
Madam
go
President.
ahead.
Okay. My thought is, I think the mayor said we had about 250 first responders. I don't know how we do it under longevity pay or if we can classify it hazardous pay, but I would suggest we still go with the mayor's proposal of 350 for 0 to 9, 500 for 10 and up, and 1,000 for first responders. That way everyone is showed we appreciate them. I mean, I remember in the day, 500 is nothing to sneeze at. 350.
Hey, I think
Go ahead, Counselor Thigpen.
Okay. You know, anything it would make me happy. I mean, days when I used to get a Christmas bonus, 500 tickled me to death. You know, it was something more than I had expected. So, you know, I think word's out and they're expecting it now. So I don't want to lessen it anymore, but that would, you know, just my estimation, that's probably $450,000 or more. I don't know if I feel sure we can swing that, you know, without losing employees, without shutting down, without laying any off in the next few weeks. But that's just my suggestion. I'll take other suggestions and, you know, consider them too. So we just need something on the table to look at.
Yeah,
Madam
sorry about
Chair.
that a while ago. I hadn't muted my phone and a customer came out. Sorry about that.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am, Counselor Crusoe.
I think this question has been asked several times before. Is it in a way that the council can be presented with the amount that's left of what we've received, to give us a better idea as to where we are and what we're working with?
Mayor Gully.
Madam President.
Yes, sir.
Madam President, I don't know how it's supposed to say this anymore. That once and some dollars go into the general fund, I can't give an amount that's left from a reimbursement of money. I mean, what's being asked is an impossibility. How do you do that once X amount of dollars has gone into your total general fund dollars?
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, okay.
You know, just a response to I guess the answer to what was presented to me. I mean, can you hear me, Madam Chair?
I can hear several of you speaking.
Well, can I respond to the question as to how it can be done?
Quickly, Councilor Crusoe.
Yes, ma'am. It can be done by the $1.2 million that we received from the county. The expenditures that was all of these receipts that's been presented to us, you add those up and subtract those from the $1.2 million, and it'll roughly let us know what the balance is.
Madam Chair.
Oh my God, who is
Ma'am Chair, I think somebody's got a poor reception. reception, but
Very
I
poor reception.
yeah, I think we ought to just sweeten that pot to 400 and about $100,000.
I was trying to
I think
ask
that's Alexander.
Is that Alexander? I totally agree with what you said. Let's go ahead and do
That was me.
$500,000
Yes.
to see if we can do $500,000. That is a start. That's the start right there. We give him Mayor Gurley someplace to go. If we can't, then Mayor Gurley will come back and tell us we can't do that much, or X, Y, and Z, or what we can do. How about that, Mayor Gurley? Mayor Gurley?
Madam President.
Counselor. Okay.
Madam
Yes,
President, I'm getting a lot of feedback, and I did not hear in some of your questions.
Counselor Matthews say we just rounded off to $500,000. If that's not possible, then you come back and tell us what we can do, and we'll work with what we can do. Is that
You
a
added
start?
you added 50. I said 450, but I'm good. I don't care.
I'm sorry.
Right now, I just want to get it off dead center. I'm serious.
Okay. Madam President.
Okay. Yes,
I'll
sir.
get with Finance Department and we can do that.
Okay, we can do that. I think we've answered both of our questions. I think have been answered. Item number 7 and item number 13. I think all of that was in one. I think we've answered that. I truly thank you all. We look forward to Mayor Gully coming back with information for this council on how we can move forward with giving our employees a tad bit of money. I think they'll be appreciative of whatever they get, but I hope that we can give them enough to do a little bit of something with. I need an adjournment, second, and a roll call, please.
Madam President, I move to adjourn.
I need a second.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I need a roll call, Ms. Taylor.
Alexander.
Aye.
Councilor Crusoe.
Aye.
Councilor Marshall. Councilor Marshall, is he gone? Councilor Thickman.
Aye.
Councilor Matthews.
Aye.
Councilor Donald.
Aye.
5 ayes, no nays, motion carries.
Thank you, counselors, for your time. Have a great day now. Bye-bye.